Good morning, everybody. Early good morning here on this Monday, our first Monday in November. We welcome everybody on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. I'm Keith Engle for Jack and Keith's Weekend Playbook, and I welcome in my co-host, Boxing Hall of Fame writer and sports guru, Jack Hirsch. Good morning, Jack. How are you?
Hey, hi, Keith. I see maybe there's a rumor you're using this as discipline, making us do the show early. We don't perform up to standards on the show.
Yes,
Cracking the whip, more or less.
I wasn't happy with some of Jack's comments on Friday, so I made him get up early. Some of you may think we forgot to turn our clocks back. I don't know, but we are early, so Jack can honor another commitment, but we'll go live, and I'll re-air this show also at 8 a.m. Nobody's going to hear that until 8 a.m., obviously, but I did let everybody know during the show was yesterday and in the promo for this show. So anyway, we had a big weekend, Jack. We'll get into the football, both college and pro, but we got to wrap it up with the World Series. I know we talked about it on the shows we were both on yesterday, but to do it justice here, again, with 24 hours more now of retrospect, I don't feel any differently. I feel like, and I don't think this is hyperbole, I feel like I watched the best World Series I've watched since 1975. I really do. It had that kind of feel.
The seventh game of the World Series was one of the best ever. I mean, it's hard to compare, Keith, because it's the latest game and it's fresh in our minds and we're psyched about it.
Of course.
Was it really better than the 2003 game that sent the Yankees to the World Series? If you're a Yankee fan, you're not really going to say that. Is it better than the 1991 seventh game where the Twins beat the Braves 1-0 in 10 innings to win the World Series? Is it better than Bobby Thompson's walk-off homer before we were both born? I wasn't born yet in 1951.
That's not what I heard.
When the Giants beat the Dodgers. And a few other games I can mention, as well. Great games. But it's one of the greatest of all time. I'm going to tell you, Keith, and this is the strangest thing that came over me in this series. And it bothered me so much yesterday when the series concluded. Now, normally, unless someone is playing the Yankees, I always root for the team I predicted was going to win. And I predicted the Dodgers were going to win the World Series this year. So you want your prediction to look good. You don't want to look bad, especially since I thought the Dodgers were going to walk through the Jays. At the very least, let them win. So I look a tiny bit like an authority. But when the way the Jays lost, I couldn't give a darn about the Jays in the slightest. It bothered me all day yesterday. Yeah. I felt their pain. I don't mean the players' pain, but the fans' pain. I was walking around like so upset. Keith, they were so bleeping close on various occasions. They just needed the tiniest little thing to go their way, and they're World Series champs. So what hurts about this, Keith, if you're a Jay fan, is this. It's going to be so hard to come this close again, to just get to where they were. With the Dodgers, it's different. They're loaded. At the very least.
Oh, they're the favorites already. So, yeah.
At the very least, you expect them to seriously contend next year. I mean, even with the Yankees, and I know you like to criticize them, if the Yankees lost the way the Jays, you know the Yankees are going to be back in the playoffs next year. They're going to be contending one way or another, even if they get knocked out in the first round of the playoffs. But with the Jays, same thing, I guess it's bad karma. The same thing with the Mariners. Came so close to going to the World Series, which they've never been to. And it's so hard to get back to that point. 1 inch from a slide at home plate, one ball missed, one this, one that. Extra innings. If Clayton Kershaw's pitch wasn't swung on at the 3-2 count, maybe they win that game. It doesn't go 18 innings, the Jays. Whatever. It's painful for the Jays.
It's funny that you say that because I kind of feel the same way. And I have no reason to root for the Blue Jays other than Don Mattingly. Jeff Hoffman, who gave up the game-tying home run, is a local boy here, went to Shaker High School, just down the road. I know people that know Jeff Hoffman, and it is hard for those guys. It's hard for the players. It's hard for the fans. Being a fan and having played sports like yourself, you feel, I've said a lot of times, I'd rather get blown out of games than lose games like they lost that 18-inning game, like they lost Game 7. Those are very tough losses to overcome, and they did it well in Game 3, but now they've got to dwell on this one the entire winter. And you're right, the Dodgers, the Yankees, and I criticize the Yankees because I want them to win. We know they're going to be there. There's no guarantees for Toronto because they've been talking about breaking his team up for a couple of years. And other than Vlad, I mean, Bo Bichette may be gone in free agency. I doubt Scherzer will be back. Not that he was a long-time guy there, but I think you're going to see a much different Jays team.
Even Game 6, amongst, 3 of the games that they lost.
Yeah.
It looked like they got the tying runs were going to come in, that the ball was going left field. It looked like the ball was, it didn't look like the catch was going to be made. And Barger was doubled off second base. But it was, so many things. But I don't blame Jeff Hoffman. I think people would be so wrong to focus on Jeff Hoffman. Wrong.
I'm not blaming Jeff Hoffman. I'm just saying
he blames himself. But listen, what's the funny thing about it? After he gave up the game-tying home run, who the next batter was? Ohtani.
Got him out.
He retired Ohtani. So people aren't noticing that. And what was going through my mind? If Ohtani's coming to the plate, 2 outs, no one on base. The Blues Jays are 1 out from winning the series, 1 run ahead. Do you walk Ohtani? And it made me seem like the ultimate hypocrite because on the debate show I was talking about a rule against intentional walks. You'd give him 2 bases or whatever, potentially walk, whatever. And then I came to the conclusion: no, you pitch to Ohtani because the worst that he could do is tie the game up, the very worst. But as it turned out, Ohtani could actually wanted to hit after. What did the Jays in? They didn't get the opportune base hits. Even in the last inning, you and I started getting into a debate. Guerrero gets a hit, but in the 8th inning, they're up 2 runs. 1 run, Clement, leads off with a double. They don't get him in. That would have been the insurance run, and that would have been the game. They don't get him in. No outs, man on second. And Guerrero, when they fall 1 run behind, Guerrero leads off with a double, and he's rallying the troops. And I'm going to tell you, Keith, I know you disagree with me, but Kiner-Falefa bunting him to third base was weak. But you let Kiner-Falefa, who doesn't strike out a great deal, swing the bat. Maybe he hits the ball to the right side of the infield anyway. He scores it. Maybe he gets a hit. Maybe he gets a sacrifice fly. There's no guarantee the bunt's going to be successful, and then you're giving up and out anyway. But the bunt wasn't good bunt. He moves Guerrero to third, and the next 2 hitters don't drive him in. I just don't like that play advancing second to third, where the Blue Jays are playing for tie in that spot.
30 years ago, you would have loved that play because that's the way baseball was played, right? You moved guys to third base with nobody out, and getting guys in from third with less than 2 outs is way winning teams win games. And again, and you talked about there's no guarantee of the bunt. Well, there's no guarantee of the bunt getting down because nobody bunts anymore. So these were fundamental parts of the game that have disappeared in recent years, recent decades. And it does frustrate me sometimes. I saw some pretty good baseball. I saw some old school type baseball in this series. And one of the reasons I was excited about it, this is one place that I would 100% agree with them, because every time the silly ghost runner, whatever we want to call him, in extra innings during the regular season, nobody bumps him to third base. And it's the silliest thing in ever. Billy Martin would have bunted every time.
Billy Martin, it was a mastered small ball. He made a difference. He made a difference, Billy Martin. And if you have, don't misunderstand me. If you have the players who could take the extra base. You have fast runners like the Yankees you talked about, Caballero, who led the major leagues in steals, Anthony Volpe.
Yeah.
Those guys, let them steal. Give them green lights. Let them take off. I get all that, and I'm all for that, putting the pressure on the pitcher. I get all that.
Defense in general.
But that wasn't putting pressure on the pitcher, because I'm going to be honest, if I were the Dodgers in that spot and I could make a deal, okay, you want to advance the guy to third and give me an out, I'm going to make you that trade. Let him go to third, give me an out.
That's the trade-off, right?
Yeah, but I didn't like it, but it didn't cause it. But how could it have affected the Jays negatively? We'll never know. But then again, if there was a sacrifice fly, a pass ball, and the runner comes in, then it would have looked good.
20 ways to get in, basically.
Keith, so many missed opportunities, the extra base hits, and it was the long ball that decided the game with the Dodgers. 2 big hits, the Blue Jays, Bichette, 3-run homer.
Yeah.
And the pit, all in all, it's such a great World Series, Keith. And that 7th game was a phenomenal game. And I feel for the Jay fans, even though I don't like them. I feel for the Jay fans. I feel some of their pain, Keith.
A couple of things. You talked about them not getting guys in. They left like 15 guys on base in that game, and that was kind of a formula for them throughout this series. They were leaving guys on base pretty much every game, even the games they were winning, which is, I mean, obviously that means you're getting guys on base, and it's a good thing. When you're scoring a lot of runs, it's not as important. When you score 3 or 4 runs, then leaving 15 on is a lot of runs out there. But you were right. There was so many places, the play at the plate that where Rojas got the falafel. And by the way, and we forget about it. We didn't talk about it yesterday. That fly ball that Podges runs down in center field, I think in the same inning, it was the 9th inning, bottom of the 9th inning. Kiki Hernandez is not catching that ball. He's turning in circles like a circus clown out there.
We'll never know whether Kiki Hernandez has an elite glove. I'm not sure. Maybe he catches it, maybe he doesn't. You mentioned Kiner-Falefa on third base, and no one talks about this. And I'm not blaming Kiner-Falefa. It's easy to second guess, but he might be thinking, "Did I get the biggest possible lead I could have gotten without getting picked up?" Because if he had a couple of more inches of lead, that's all he needed, and that would have been the difference. You know what caused that? And there was a big story yesterday. There was a lot of articles. Post had an article about it. Someplace else had an article about the secondary lead. The secondary lead wasn't big enough, but obviously that cost them. But the coaches had told all of them to stay close to the bags because they had. And I think that play in Game 6, was it Game 6 where they won with the double play out of left field, whatever game it was. Game 6. Right, they doubled the guy off second base. That was playing in the Blue Jays coaches' minds, and I think that was in the bad base running. That was bad base running when Barger got doubled off second base. Because either you make the commitment to go all the way to score, or you stay close enough to the base. You don't go a little bit part way and hem and haw. If you're going to do that, you have to be certain you can't get doubled up. Left field catches. Yeah, I mean but yes, and that's good base running, and again, something that's lacking in Major League Baseball today. But I still think in the coach's mind, so that play that doubled Barger off second base lingered into the series and may have had an effect on that play, is all I'm saying, because they were leery of that getting doubled off. And I get it. What are you going to do? Like even going all the way back to the 1955 World Series, the famous catch made by Stanley Amorous way through the relay in to Kiwi Reese, who threw it to Hodges at first, and they doubled up Gil McDougall at first base. McDougall was a time run. But what the heck was McDougall doing far enough off the base where he could get doubled up? No one ever criticizes Gil McDougall. He had to be standing at third base. Awful base running. You don't see much. When you see that play replay, and you don't see it much anymore, but I was young and saw that play replayed 1,000 times. You barely saw anything happen after the catch because the catch was such a great
running catch, and you don't see all the time. They wouldn't show the end of that where he doubled Magoo.
But I picked up on it. What was he doing, getting doubled off? The base. But you can mention. Look, there's a lot of controversies. The 2001 World Series. I don't know what your opinion is on this. When the Diamondbacks in the ninth inning had first and second, no outs after the errant throw by Rivera on the play before on the bunt, they bunt again. Rivera throws to Scott Brocious at third to get the force. Later, Rivera says he doesn't understand why Brocious didn't throw to first. We could have gotten a double play. And Rivera claims he asked Joe Torre if he threw to first, you think we would have gotten a double play. And according to Rivera, Torre said yes. But Brocious held on, didn't throw to first. I didn't give it any thought at the time, so I'm not blaming Brocious. But was that a controversy that could have taken off?
It might have, but again, they're not in that position if Mo doesn't throw the ball into center field. So to blame yourself as well, right? I mean, and I love Mo. I'm not really criticizing him. He was
But this World Series, Keith, great World Series. Toronto had a certain magic going, and it's going to be hard to get it back, back to this spot.
I'm glad you mentioned 2001 because that is a great example of hurt from a fan standpoint.
I still think about it, Keith.
That game was. I thought when Mo comes into a game and in a World Series or the playoffs, you'd think any game really, but in the World Series, it's over. It's done.
But it's interesting with legacies, how some legacies get hurt and how some legacies don't over bad performance. An example, the home run, Tim Wakefield giving up the home run to Aaron Boone that sent the Yankees to the World Series. Wakefield thought afterwards the Red Sox fans would hold it against them. It would be one of those things that would be a stigma. And the Red Sox fans really moved on from that. Yeah. They didn't hold it against them. But
it's funny that you're right. It depends on the guy. Wakefield gets a pass, let's say, and Buckner.
Rivera got a pass completely. Yeah. No one ever really brings it up.
And Bill Buckner suffers forever. Bill Buckner suffers forever, right? With
Bill Buckner, and the most. Yeah, and the most that would have happened, it would have tied. The game would have been tied. We still don't know what would have happened in the series.
A lot of fun.
Imagine if Scott Norwood, one play. Scott Norwood going wherever he goes. Strange people. He goes into a restaurant. He shows his credit. Aren't you the guy? Aren't you this? Aren't you that? Come on.
I don't even know if he kicked anymore. Did he kick the next year? I don't even remember. Was he the Bills kicker?
He kicked the next year. He actually made a big field goal in the playoff game with the Bills and the Broncos. He made some like a 40-yard field goal that they were up 7-0 and it put them up 10-0. And they won something like 10-7 or thereabouts. I forgot the score, but it was the difference to 3 points.
It's funny, we've kind of gone off track here, but I like this conversation. One thing I want to add here, I've always said about Scott Norwood and the Bills, if he makes that kick, we will never know. I've always felt there's a better chance that the Bills win 3 out of 4 of those Super Bowls maybe than lose all 4. Because after that, it was just like, what's going to go wrong next with this? No,
they wouldn't have won the other 3, but they would have looked better. Yeah, they would have been the ultimate example to Bills how hard it is to repeat because they had 3 cracks at it after. I want to mention now, it's segueing to football now a little bit.
Yep.
Yesterday, I was dismayed. I'm not critical of broadcasters, Keith. I'm just not. I'm not picky. Some I like a lot better than the others. Some broadcasters I love to listen to. Others are somewhat boring, but big deal. I'll watch the game. They don't hurt the game for me. They just don't make it more enjoyable, but I can still like watching the game. Yesterday, Cam Little sets an NFL record with a 68-yard field goal to Jacksonville Jaguar kicker. That's big stuff to me. When he was lining up for the 68-yard field goal, I'm thinking, wow, this would be an NFL record. I'm attuned to it.
Yep.
Because in this day and age, kickers are kicking the ball so much further than years ago. He makes a 68-yard field goal. The broadcasters are hardly mentioning it, and their voices are flat. Like as if he just made another long field goal. And I'm thinking, did I miss something? Did someone ever kick a field goal longer than 68 yards? I'm questioning myself because of the lack of enthusiasm. But I knew it was directed that he broke Justin Tucker's record of 66-yard field goal.
I wonder if part of it is it's inevitable the way these kickers are so good today that somebody's going to kick a 70-yarder.
75
maybe.
80 yards is a little bit of a stretch at this point in time.
These guys' legs, they're so accurate. I mean, then they miss extra points, of course, but, still. That was a fabulous kick, by the way. And he kicked one in the exhibition season, 70 yards. So that is a pet peeve. I didn't hear the call. A lot of times I don't hear the call of these games.
The call was as boring as could be. A guy sets an NFL record. Think in the history in the NFL, and you're not getting all excited, psyched about it. The voice was just flat. It was even keeled. It was if they wanted to talk show with us, Keith.
Who was he?
68-yard field goal. Nice, long, powerful kick. I'm not saying he said those words. I'm just,
my guess is that was the seventh-string team doing the game because it was a Jacksonville Raider game.
I'm sure. I forgot the other nonsense, but it was flat. I
didn't know Schlereth was still doing games. There you go.
Yeah, but it was like if the broadcasters had a team, these guys who did that call, I relegate them to the practice squad.
Well, maybe he will be. I got to watch Andrew Catalano. Andrew Catalano he's a big guy on NBC now. He used to be here doing local sports here in our market. So I'm always interested in seeing him do games. He did the Patriot game yesterday, which we'll get to in a second. Some big games. The Bills and Chiefs was the marquee game yesterday, I would say. I don't think you'd disagree.
Bills to live up to expectations. I know it was a reasonably close game. Bills win 28-21, but it didn't give you that feel that it was last man standing. The Bills always seem to have a handle on the game to me. Their defense showed up big. Their secondary linebackers played a really superb game.
And they got Cook involved. They ran the ball really well yesterday. Cook had 27 rushes yesterday. That's like they haven't been doing that. He's been getting 12 and 15 touches a game. So I've been saying for a long time they need to do this. But this isn't unusual for the Bills to beat the Chiefs in Buffalo at home during the regular season. They don't do it during the playoffs. The question is if we're going to see that matchup again. I saw a really good Bills team last night. I thought their defense, as you said, was much better. They've got some guys healthy in the last couple of weeks. I bet the Bills yesterday. I had people yesterday saying, what's wrong with you? Why would you bet that team against the Chiefs? Well, they're home, and they're also a very good football team, and Josh Allen's still the quarterback.
Well, it was a toss-up game. I don't see why anyone would question picking Buffalo. Every time the Chiefs and Bills play, it's a game that could go either way. But, the Chiefs are going to be in an unusual position, but they can still thrive in this position. And then it looks like, not definite, things could absolutely change. But as of now, you get the feeling they're going to be a wild card team.
I would say.
But the Chiefs are the type of team that's built to win on the road. They can win 3 games on the road and go to the Super Bowl. So there's no reason to panic, even though you hope you get 1 game in Kansas City. For the Chiefs to get back to the Super Bowl, they're going to have to go through Buffalo. But believe me, they didn't leave Buffalo yesterday with their confidence shaken at all. They absolutely feel they could go back to Buffalo and beat Buffalo there. And even though Buffalo won this game, Buffalo knows come playoff time, situation is different. It's going to be harder to duplicate what they did yesterday. Not that they're not confident that they can. But Buffalo's in an unusual position. Keith, very unusual position. Because if things hold the way they are and the season ended today, the chances of Buffalo and Kansas City playing one another seem to be remote
Yeah.
right now, I believe, because Buffalo would actually be a wild card team. But I'm going to tell you, I know you're a Patriot guy, but to me, there's a feeling of inevitability when all is said and done. Buffalo wins the division. That New England's not the only way New England wins the division, Keith. They've got to beat Buffalo when they play them again. If they do that, they have a good chance of winning the division, but they've got to beat them in the rematch at New England. And it's going to be a short because Buffalo is going to be absolutely sky high for that game.
That's a great point. I've said for a while, I thought the division could come down to that game. But they've still got the Patriots still have the Ravens, who are going to be playing probably at full throttle by that time, if they aren't already. So the schedule, while it's favorable for the Patriots, they do still have a couple of bumps they got to get past. Plus, if they play like they played yesterday, they managed to squeak out a win because of a missed extra point by a guy they cut in camp, by the way, which I thought was interesting. But they made too many mistakes again yesterday. Drake May turns the ball over twice, has a horrible fumble at the end of the first half, which really changed the momentum of that game. They were going to go in, they were going to score probably a field goal, and they had the ball coming out of the half. And the only thing you can't do there is turn it over and give up points. And they were fortunate they didn't give up a touchdown. They can't make the number of mistakes they made again yesterday and beat good teams. Falcons are not a really good team. Michael Penix is not a good quarterback.
Well, Michael Penix makes a lot of bad throws. That's what the problem is. But Drake May's coming along fine. Drake May's only in his second year. And Drake May has the novelty of improving on the job, getting better, learning on the job. And Drake May is still in part a developmental quarterback, developing nicely into a franchise quarterback. We can't expect Drake May right now to be a peak value quarterback, to think, we need him to play like he's an elite quarterback. Let him learn. He's coming along really well this year.
Here's the thing, Jack, and you're absolutely right. Again, I'm not expecting to play like an 8-year veteran, but even rookies you can teach ball protection to, and he gives up too many, especially fumbling the football. I'm okay with the interception. It was just a bad throw. The fumble is unforgivable. You just can't turn the ball over there. You got to just protect the ball and fall down. But he had a good game otherwise. This guy is completing 75% of his passes, and he's not just dinking and dunking it around the field. He's throwing the ball down the field a lot, and he's played really, really well. And look, at the defense played well when they had to, and fortunately the guy misses an extra point. The Patriots stay a half game in first place, so we're happy.
Yeah, bottom line is the Patriots are exceeding expectations, at least mine by far, even yours. I mean, you were optimistic they could go like 9-8 this year. I mean, I was looking at more like a 6-11 team, and I was thinking in terms, okay, Grable will have a mess this year. He'll clean the mess up. He'll get him really focused. And next season, the Patriots are going to have a good team, a team that could, be a wild card team next season. They were a year ahead of schedule to me. What they're doing now, I thought it would take a year to go. Grable is a great candidate. There are few of them for Coach of the Year. There were few of them.
I think he's Coach of the Year right now if the vote was held. I think there's a few guys, I agree with you, but I think he might be Coach of the Year. And again, I'm biased. I'm closer to the situation than any other. And I see a lot of him because I go looking for him. And it's not the things you just see as they play in the field. When you watch him interact with this team, it pumps you up. It pumps you up. You want to go run through a wall for this guy. I love this guy. I've said that since the day they hired him, and I've got no reason to change my mind.
And it shows you of all the major sports, I guess the two of them where the coaches make the biggest difference would be basketball and football, where a coach could, turn a program around.
Absolutely. I didn't say good morning to Ken earlier. Good morning, Ken. Good to have you with us. Ken's from the back it up. I'm sorry, that's JB. He's from the Bottom Line Sports with Flo. Flo's back from active duty. We welcome Flo back again and thank him for his service for sure. And JB's with us from the Back Up Binge podcast. So good morning, guys. Thanks for getting up early with us. And some of you will be watching this later. We will be on replay. So if I'm not responding to your comments or Jack isn't, yelling at you for your comments. It'll be because we're not actually here. Other games yesterday, the Colts, Daniel Jones may be the first chink in his armor. The Steelers defense shows up. Taylor runs for 45 or 6 yards. For the most part, until the fourth quarter, a couple of maybe meaningless points. But the Steelers really showed up and played good defense yesterday. Daniel Jones made a few mistakes he hadn't been making.
All right, turnovers, 3 interceptions and a couple of fumbles. He turned it over 5 times. I mean,
some mistakes he hadn't been making.
He played awful. He reverted to the Daniel Jones that we knew most of his time at the Giants, where everyone was getting excited about Daniel Jones. Look, yesterday I said, I finally acknowledged how good Daniel Jones really was. And I said, look, the Colts, as of now, should move forward with him as their franchise quarterback, but don't pay him like he's an elite quarterback. If he wants elite quarterback money, let him walk next season. I don't care how good he's playing now, because he's going to come back down to earth. I think he could have a good career as a Colt quarterback, but he's not going to be an elite quarterback at any point in his career.
You're going to get these games. You're going to get these games from him. It's just
you're going to get these games from him. But we noticed this when Jonathan Taylor has an off game, Daniel Jones is lost. He didn't pick up the slack. Elite quarterbacks pick up the slack. Daniel Jones didn't do it. Jonathan Taylor's the one that had the bad game, and then Daniel Jones was co-authored of a horrendous game.
And Carlos, that's why he's throwing the ball, is because they couldn't run the football. If you can't run, you got to throw. It's not like they didn't want to run Jonathan.
Not a difference maker, Daniel Jones.
No.
Some quarterbacks are difference makers. Somewhat. You're talking about Drake May a moment ago. Drake May is eventually going to be a difference maker. Eventually, he's trending towards that. I know he was so yesterday. Josh Allen, difference maker. Patrick Mahomes, difference maker. Lamar Jackson, difference maker. We could name a few more. Dak Prescott, difference maker. Maybe not on the level of the other guys, but close enough.
But there's enough guys out there you can't say they're going to carry you to victory without help from their teams.
Oh, you need help. No. You need help elsewhere, but you make the most out of what you have. But you don't hurt your team. You're not awful.
Is this a sign of more? Carlos will talk about the contract. He'll get his money. I mean,
the Colts are crazy. If they make him one of the top 5 quarterbacks in the league, they're out of their mind. And they'll get what they deserve later on when he doesn't perform at that level.
Even at the not top 5, he's going to get what he got from the Giants before, because that's not even top 5 money anymore. $40 million a year.
If you pay Jones, if you're the Colts, like he's the 15th highest paid starting quarterback in the league, and move forward with him, I'm fine with that, because it's hard to find another quarterback. It's supply and demand. If you don't sign Daniel Jones, who the heck are you going to get to play quarterback for you? You're not going to draft anyone high enough. And this quarterback crap, even though we have about 5 quarterbacks in contention for the Heisman, from my understanding, none of them are really that good, that elite.
You know what the 15th highest paid quarterback is getting paid right now?
No.
$45 million. So he's getting more than that. He's going to get more than that, because 3 of those guys don't even play. Brock Purdy's getting to $52 million.
No. I give Jones a deal where it won't last more than 2 years, where you have to pay him.
Yeah, but you're going to have to pay him $55 million for those 2 years.
I'm going to look elsewhere to see what I have going. Yeah, but it's hard. It's hard. I have to pony up the money, because Daniel Jones is a decent quarterback. I mean, he's a decent quarterback. There's no way, I'm going to give him his due. I'm just not getting crazy about, Daniel Jones, MVP, Indiana Jones.
Here's the danger.
Guys.
And this is where guys like Daniel Jones have to be smart and realize the situation they're in. Do I take a shorter contract or a longer contract somewhere else, and my career bottoms out because I went to a bad situation?
Well, compare him to Sam Darnold. Darnold got the type of money that the Seahawks could get out from under after year, because he was bad in this last couple of games. What's going to happen this year, Keith? The Colts are going, it looks like they're going to be a playoff team. And when they get eliminated from the playoff game, Daniel Jones is probably going to struggle, have a hard time. And that might hurt his market. It might not hurt his market. But he's obviously a lot better than he was yesterday.
Well, good comparison to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold was hurt. Wasn't Sam Darnold hurt by his poor performance?
He hurt himself. He had two bad games in a row. And now we're talking about Sam Darnold as an MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Look what he's doing with Seattle. But I think it's a little different, Keith. Sam Darnold did not play a lot in college. And I think Sam Darnold, as crazy as it seems, is improving because even though he's been in the league, like 7 years, he's gaining experience. Even now, because he's been playing all those games with the Vikings and now, with the Seahawks. Yeah. So he's kind of on an upswing. And the time he had with the Jets, I hate to say, I don't want to say it was a waste, but I don't know how that helped his development as a player.
I think a waste is probably the best term you could use, actually. So,
the ironic part about it, Keith, this is so ironic. If the Jets never had drafted Sam Darnold, and he turned out to be the player he is now, and he was a free agent at the end of this year, the Jets might be all over him, figuring, we got our franchise quarterback.
Then he'd be Neil O'Donnell when he got here. So,
wow.
Another game of interest, Vikings, a team that their season was on the brink yesterday, and I gave them no chance to win this game. And their defense showed up and played pretty well. They give up some points late, but they played really well. J.J. McCarthy, I was watching this game on another TV yesterday, kind of peripherally, so I wasn't paying close attention. But he looked like he played better than the stat line shows. But he led them to victory, didn't get hurt, which is probably a good thing. Is this Viking team back? Or is
J.J. McCarthy played a clean game. He managed the game and played a clean game. I love to use the word efficient. He was efficient. And that's what they needed. Kudos to Brian Flores, the defensive coordinator. The Viking defense, which hasn't had the best of years and hadn't been playing well recently, they showed up yesterday. And they were the type of defensive, unit they had been with Flores last year and periodically this year. And I didn't expect them to win. And it was a big win back for the Vikings.
Huge win. They've been out of it without it. And that whole division now is over 500. The Bears, let me go stick with the Vikings for 1 second. McCarthy, one of the big things, he did play a clean game, and they weren't asking him to do a lot of things he couldn't do. They left him in positions not to hurt the team, right? So I think that was a smart move by Kevin O'Connell, who is a really good football coach, by the way, and I don't think gets his due. But that division, they're still 4-4, and they're in last place. The Bears, so I'm listening. I'm one of the, I think it was my TGI Sports Talk feed. They were guys were just ripping the Bears and ripping Williams and ripping Ben Johnson. And geez, I look at the game, I'm like, the defense didn't play well, that's for sure. But Caleb Williams played pretty well. He brought this team back. They scored 47 points. They win the game. They're 5-3. What do we want from the Bears? This team's better than they were last year.
I like Caleb Williams a lot. He makes big plays. He's not scared of failing. A lot of quarterbacks are scared of failing. Caleb Williams doesn't do things halfway. Bad defense yesterday, like you said. I mean, didn't really get it done. But, just they have a lot of weapons to pass. They have good personnel on the team, but a lot of needless penalties and this and that. And Caleb Williams will drive you crazy, the way he might turn the ball over. But he's also going to make big plays.
I don't know that he turned the ball over yesterday, did he?
No, not yesterday, but historically, earlier this season and last year.
Yeah, where I was, they didn't have this game on, but I'm looking at these guys just ripping them. I'm thinking they're getting
the Bengal defense too. Let's keep that in mind.
Well, Flacco had a huge day again yesterday.
I kind of wonder whether the Bengals are going to give up on this season. And technically, what are they? couple of games out still or so, but
2 games behind. 2 games behind, I think, right?
can you imagine that the Bengals beating the Jets and the Bears the way they were supposed to? They would be tied. They'd actually technically be in first place because they'd have the tiebreak over Pittsburgh. They beat
Bears are half game first place in the North. Packers lead at 5-2, 5-2-1. The Lions are 5-3, and so are the Bears. Bears are well. I don't know how we can. It's funny the way we just get on teams and guys. Again, this guy hasn't played 2 full seasons of football. Caleb Williams. Let's give him a chance.
Give him a chance. That's exactly. Some players, some quarterbacks, you could tell they're struggling. Like your favorite QB, Michael Penix, in his second year. You're down on him. You're not thinking, oh, let's see how he develops. You're not high on him. But some QBs were high on him, and a lot of them have a good rookie year, and then their second year isn't as good for a variety of reasons. I mean, look what happened with DJ Stroud. I mean, Jaden Daniels now with his injury this season has been a disappointment, but you're not going to tell me that Jaden Daniels isn't, the commander quarterback of the future. He certainly is.
And Caleb Williams is the Bears quarterback of the future. There's no doubt about that. I mean, maybe he'll be more inconsistent, but remember, he had to play out of the gate. He probably, again, wasn't forced to be that disciplined in college. And now he's learning that discipline. Even Drake May will drive you crazy, as I said, with some bad turnovers. Good. I think it's a good analogy. I think the Patriots are better right now than the Bears, Michael. But yeah, they're a year away from really contending, I think.
Sometimes we see stories written, Keith, that says a redraft of a certain class. And that class of quarterbacks, Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, if there could be a redraft of all the teams, you kind of wonder who would go number 1. Would it be Jaden Daniels? Would it be Drake May? Would they be drafted ahead of Caleb Williams? I have a feeling they would. I don't know why.
I do
yeah,
too.
but they're close enough. We don't know how it's going to turn out when all is said and done. Who's going to be considered the best quarterback of all of them?
I may be biased, which I know I am. I think Drake May would be, if you had 2020 hindsight, I think Drake May would have been the number 1 pick.
I think right now, I get that feeling.
Yeah,
he wouldn't. I know he makes mistakes, doesn't hold on to the ball at times the way he should, but I think they look at upside. But
I'll take what I get. He's playing great football. I just want to clean up those fumbles. Even
Caleb Williams is more maligned than the rest. Drake May's never maligned. Part of the reason is not much was expected of the Patriots. They had Gerard Mayo last year as the coach. I think Caleb Williams had kind of like a bigger personality. A little more was expected of him because he was the number 1 overall pick, but it's what it is.
I think part of it too is the personality thing, right? Caleb Williams is a little odd in his personality, and I think that turns some people off, and they think you can't play football because you don't seem like you're laser focused on what you're doing. And I think
laser focused. He's like a focus.
I do too. I think so too.
I mean, the quarterback I want to see laser focused, and we'll get to the games, is in tonight's game. The Arizona Cardinals, the Dallas Cowboys. So Kyler Murray reportedly is going to suit up, but isn't going to be starting because of the injury.
Yes,
going to go with Jacoby Brissett.
That Patriot Hall of Famer.
I like the Cardinals to upset the Cowboys for what it's worth.
With Jacoby Brissett?
With Jacoby Brissett can get the job done. I don't want him as my starter, but as a backup, you could win with him as a backup. I wouldn't want to go through the playoffs with him having to win 3 games. No way. But for given games, yeah, he could be very good for giving it. He's a favorite. Bill Parcells.
I like Jacoby Brissett. He lasted 3 games with the Patriots last year, and they could not play another game with him because, again, not all his fault because the offensive line was so bad. He was getting killed. But they turned to Drake May a lot sooner than I thought they would. And in hindsight, a good thing that they played him so early. So it'll be an interesting game tonight. I like Dallas, though, myself. Any other games that really stick out? Sorry, Sonia. I mean, the biggest game of the day, obviously, was Carolina, the Packers. But Carolina played good defense again, ran the football, then they go into Lambeau and win. I did not think they had a chance in hell.
Not good to me. I'll be honest about it. I gave them very little chance, the Panthers. I mean, I thought Green Bay would just roll over them and beat them by three touchdowns plus. I like to write down scores as a prediction for fun. I picked the Packers win 31-7.
Yeah, I think
I'm not one of these guys who makes a prediction beforehand and then it doesn't turn out the way I thought, and I start analyzing it and try to be smart why it happened. That's what always gets me. You watch these analysts, Keith, they tell you how the game is going to turn out. I see this in boxing all the time. Why one fighter's going to beat the other, blah, blah, blah. They're so certain. And then it turns out the opposite. And then the analyst analyzes things like he's a real authority. Why the guy won? Well, he did this.
You know, Carlos, your point about protecting quarterbacks, I've said this for weeks, if not years, that paying all these quarterbacks, the money that we pay them and wide receivers is costing offensive linemen. You have no depth on your offensive line. And that's why guys are getting the crap beat out of them. They're getting paid a lot of money, but a lot of them are getting the crap beat out of them because the offensive lines around the league, except for a couple, are not good. And if you lose one or two guys, you're in no man's land now.
With the Chargers losing Joe Alt, I mean, I sometimes think of value, Keith, per position. Watching Travis Kelce yesterday, one of the great tight ends of all time. Now, if you have hey, Danny, how you doing? If you have a choice, for example, you know they're young, they're 22 years old, they have their whole career ahead of them, they're both going to stay healthy. Travis Kelce as tight end on your team, or Joe Thomas, the great career offensive lineman with the Cleveland Browns. Who do you take? It's not an easy thing.
No.
You have a guy like Joe Thomas, Trent Williams. Let's say Trent Williams or someone like that. Who do you take? And that might be for the Jets. Watching the Jaguar-Raider game yesterday and watching Brock Bowers, I don't second guess afterwards. I was adamant. The Jets said, you have to draft Brock Bowers. Please don't draft an offensive lineman. I was saying Brock Bowers is going to the Hall of Fame if he stays healthy.
100%.
And they draft Fashanu, an offensive lineman. Good pick if Brock Bowers wasn't there. But how on earth, they just don't. Imagine what the Brock Bowers would have been on the Jets or any other team.
Listen, if people didn't look at quarterbacks the way that they look at him, Brock Bowers might have been a number one selection in a draft. He's that good. He's a really good player and doesn't play. He's a Gronk type tight end, maybe even better than Gronk. We'll find out. If he stays healthy, he'll be better.
But the Jaguar-Raider game, good game there, came down to the last play. Raiders went, last play got deflected, and Raiders come up a little short. Rough year for Pete Carroll. A very rough year.
It feels like a bad situation for him. If he was coming back, he should have looked for a better situation than the Raiders.
Listen, at his age, you take any head coaching job. He wasn't in a position, Carroll, to pick and choose.
Don't coach. I mean, you want to go out like this? I mean, he may not come. This might be one and done for him. I don't know. But
someone talks about how much influence does Tom Brady, who's a partial owner with the Raiders, have with that team, the front office?
Quite a bit. I think he's got quite a bit.
Why didn't they? Okay. How come no one talks about why the Raiders didn't hire Belichick?
There was chatter. There was chatter. First of all, he took the North Carolina job early, remember, before a lot of these jobs.
He had a buyout.
And he would have had a $10 million buyout. But now it's $1 million, by the way. It's only after June 1st, it turned to $1 million. But there was some chatter as soon as Brady was given. It was obvious he was given a bunch of power within this organization. And one of the reasons there's all the controversy about him doing games and being an owner and having this type of influence. I think he's got a lot of influence. I think he had a lot of influence in Pete Carroll coming there and Geno Smith coming there. And he's going to have to take, You can't just stand up and take all the accolades, right? When crap goes sideways, you also got to say I screwed up, and he was part of that.
No. Geno Smith was Pete Carroll's guy. There's no way Geno Smith would have been a Raider if Pete Carroll said to Tom Brady, "I'd rather not run it back with Geno the way I did in Seattle." Brady would not have argued with Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is the one who probably said to Brady, Geno, I can win with Geno. He's my guy. I've had success with him at Seattle. And Brady maybe signed off on it without a fuss. But he's not the guy, who forced Geno Smith on Pete Carroll.
Agreed. I don't know. Any other games of interest yesterday? I didn't really pick out anything. I mean, the Broncos struggle, but win in Texas. I'm glad they won the game, but they had to come back.
Yeah, we knew that was going to be a close game.
Yeah.
The defensive struggle, and Denver's won 6 in a row. I don't get it. Denver is, conceivably a Super Bowl team. I just look at them as being a little short in that area. It depends what the matchups are going to be. No one team in the AFC stands out. Every team looks beatable to me. Every single team. So why not Denver when you think of it?
I'm going to throw this one at you because I've been arguing with Carlos about this forever. He thinks LaFleur in Green Bay is a bad coach. I don't think he is. And let me preface it with this. Carlos hates everybody who's ever had a tie to anybody named Shanahan. So every coach that ever coached for him or talked to him in a coffee shop stinks. I think LaFleur is a pretty good coach. He's had a pretty consistent career up there in Green Bay. He's developing a good young quarterback, and I think he's done a pretty good job. So.
Yeah, you want to know something? LaFleur or the Green Bay Packers, a perfect example why you can't look at a schedule and start projecting whether a team is going to win or lose those games.
Yeah.
Because if you're Green Bay, you look at their schedule, you see, the lowly Cleveland Browns will win that game. And then you look, we got the Carolina Panthers at home. Let's put a check on that game. You can't wait if you're Packers, any other team, until you face a team like the Lions and say, okay, that game's a toss-up.
The Jets, I don't know if they were. They probably weren't. When LaFleur got hired, the Jets were looking for a quarterback. For a coach. I think LaFleur would have been a better selection than anybody they've taken since. And since I asked that, Michael Gott over in the UK wants to know if you still support Aaron Glenn in New York.
No, I support Aaron Glenn for the simple reason it's his first year. I don't see who else is out there, Michael. If you have someone like a Mike Grable available, who you could hire right now, I would move on from Aaron Glenn. But who's out there? Even the college coaches. I mean, I don't want to see these recycled names. What are we going to do? Call up James Franklin? He gets fired at Penn State. Are we going to when Dabo Sweeney gets fired? I was going to say when, but that would be mean. If he gets let go at Clemson, who's been a disaster, we're going to hire him. If Nick Saban came out of retirement, hypothetically, one of the greatest coaches of all time, he didn't have success when he was the Miami Dolphin coach before hooking up, with his legendary Alabama career. So there's no one out there really. And there's no one in the NFL. And don't tell me Bill Belichick would create a buzz. But
he's not going to come back to the NFL. It's not happening.
You need good players. You're not going to go to a Super Bowl with Justin Fields as your quarterback at any point. And outside of Garrett Wilson, there's no impact number 2 receiver. I don't know what last time Breece Hall, the offensive line where they've drafted the last 2 number 1 picks, hasn't really performed. The answer is, I would stick with Aaron Glenn because it's a different situation than the Patriots had with Gerard Mayo. Gerard Mayo you agree with me, Keith? Gerard Mayo would have been the coach this season if Mike Vrabel wasn't available.
100%. Vrabel was their guy from the beginning. They couldn't even talk to him from the beginning because of Mayo's contract, which kind of handcuffed them. But once he said he was willing to, take the job, Mayo was toast. And he would be the coach if he wasn't. And listen, I like Gerard Mayo. He's been a good soldier for the Patriots for a long time. Player, coach. They kept him there when he could have gone to other jobs, and he stayed, and I'm sure they made it worth his while. But there was just a lot missing on this everywhere in the organization. Just look at the sidelines this year, and you see a huge difference between what the sidelines looked like last year and this year. Gerard Mayo just was in over his head, maybe too soon. I don't know if he ever gets another chance, but I don't think he was ready.
Let me throw a thunderbolt candidate at you that I don't believe anyone has ever mentioned, at least not for years. Seeing the way these former players have gotten into coaching, imagine Peyton Manning decides, I want to coach. I want to be a head coach off the bat. And he's willing to go to a team like the Jets because of Peyton Manning's pedigree and how hard he works and how well he knows the game and the whole personality. He would be a terrible fit, though. With that said, because of his personality, he's too sensitive to criticism.
Yeah, it's interesting because that doesn't happen in the NFL. Players don't go from playing to coaching, right? Directly. It happens in baseball quite a bit. We see guys with very little experience or none, like Aaron Boone, go from playing, maybe announcing, and then into the dugout.
Right. He was a broadcast, and Cashman liked the way he broadcast the games, his personality.
Let's move him to the broadcast booth next year.
Yesterday, the Rams looked good, beating the Saints handily. Rams, when we talk about who's going to the Super Bowl, the Rams in a way is slipping under the radar. Matthew Stafford's having a good year.
Very good year. The defense is good. Mac Jones, too, the other Jones brother, had another effective game yesterday to beat the Giants, who were just depleted on everywhere on this team.
And we talked about the Colts before, and give the Pittsburgh Steelers their due, defeating the Colts. Their defense showed up Pittsburgh. And Mike Tomlin seems to get it done every year with a winning record. And Aaron Rodgers has had a decent year. So let's see. If Pittsburgh wins that division, to me, it would be a remarkable feat. But the Ravens are 2 games behind, and I look for the Ravens to catch them when all is said and done.
100%. By the way, Carlos, coaches are not managers in baseball. I could never get this through to him about managers and coaches and whatever. And Danny, I'm going to let Carlos answer that. I'm not going to put up any more of the coaching and LaFleur. Danny's 100% right, Carlos. That's all I'll tell you. Real quick, before we got to run, a little bit of college news. Upsets again this week. Miami takes themselves out of the running. Georgia Tech takes themselves out of the running. Big losses for the ACC. Big losses in the Big 12. First coaches poll. I'm sorry, not coaches poll. The first college football playoff poll comes out Tuesday. I think the first 10, maybe even 11 seeds are going to be. I know where they're going to be. We know who's going to be the 4 buys in this first poll. I think it's going to be very interesting when we get down to 11 and 12, where you've got Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Virginia, Texas, Louisville. I'll tell you, I think Notre Dame, Oklahoma, and Texas are all in these top 12 on Tuesday. Don't be surprised. Maybe Louisville sneaks in. It's going to be interesting because you're going to see how this first week is going to be interesting, because you're going to see how that committee looks at 2 lost teams in the SEC compared to 1 lost teams elsewhere. It's going to be very interesting to see. So
week by week, though, but then the following week things will get juggled up.
Yeah, 100%. Jack, any boxing news you want to throw at us today before we wrap it up?
No, it's been kind of quiet on the boxing front. Very, very quiet. There's talk behind the scenes with, it's open, really public, with Dana White, his involvement in boxing, trying to have a boxing league, this and that, and more to come. The Jake Paul Tank Davis fight supposed to take place in a couple of weeks. Just one quick mention as we wrap up: the New York City Marathon. The 2 Kenyans finished in a photo finish. Imagine that, in a marathon, a photo finish.
I've never heard of such a thing.
But again, like in football, run hard to the tape, lean over. They're holding their hands up in the air.
Where
to
did
the Kenyan runner that finished in second place. Had he leaned forward at the tape instead of holding his hands up in victory, they both did, he may have won the race instead of finishing second.
where did you finish, Jack? You're a runner, aren't you? Did you run in
No,
the
I was middle of the pack. I wasn't as good a marathon as I was in shorter distances.
You could probably beat me now. I'm not, anything more than like 5 yards.
I probably could have beaten you back in the day too, Keith, but I will never know.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. I know, Danny, you made it for part of the show early out there on the West Coast. It's still only 4 a.m. Great job by Danny Fuller. He gets the MVP award today, or most dedicated award, I guess, for showing up today. Second to me and Jack. So we will replay the show at 8 a.m., guys. Maybe I'll watch it with you, and then maybe I'll comment from there. We'll see how that goes. So, guys, we'll catch you on Friday morning. Jack and I are going to tape some shows this week to fill in while I'm on vacation after Fridays will be on tape as well, by the way. But we'll get some good content out there for you guys. And feel free to comment. And when I get a chance, I'll say hello. We'll see you then. Jack, great show. Thank you. Watch this tonight, by the way, guys. And College Football Huddle on Wednesday. Good night. Or good afternoon, good morning, whatever the hell it is.